Now, Executive Suites with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, always glad to have you with us. And today we have kind of a fun pairing of companies. We have an old established company that's getting new ownership and that is looking forward to the future. We're going to recognize, and we'll talk about that in a second. And later on in the show, we're going to hear from a medical device company in the tech sphere that recently got some exciting news and is working on some innovations in medicine. So two different pieces around the economy today, but we're going to start with one I bet just about everybody watching will be familiar with, Munroe Dairy. You see it there on the table. Munroe Dairy, they've been around nearly 140 years. They have the trucks with the cows, but they just got new ownership. And one of those new owners, Tracy Daugherty, is here with me today, along with Mat Levin, who's the veteran general manager there and is staying on. So thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So, as I said, long time Munroe's been around. People know Munroe Dairy. Tracy, I'm very intrigued to hear the story of how you and your husband decided to buy Munroe, because you're not a farmer by trade, right?
No, you're right on that. So, yeah, it's actually an interesting question. And we moved to Rhode Island 13 years ago. And obviously, one of the first things you see when you move to Rhode Island is you see the black and white, cow trucks around, the milk boxes, and we were very quick to become customers. So we were very satisfied customers very quickly. And Rhode Island being Rhode Island, we sort of quickly met someone who knew Rob Armstrong and found ourselves the former owner, yes. So met Rob, talked to him then, learned a lot about the business, and were interested then, not the right time for the Armstrong family to sell, but fast forward 12 or so years later, and we were looking at businesses, and it was the right time, and so it all kind of came full circle. We were really just intrigued by the business itself.
And I'm curious, Rob actually appeared on this show a couple of years ago. He's now, I think he's staying on as a consultant for a bit, but he's enjoying retirement as well. He was the third generation of his family. In your conversations with the Armstrongs, why did they decide it was time to hand this off to new stewards?
Right. For Rob, I think personally, he was ready to kind of move on and do different things. He'd been at this for almost 40 years himself, so that's a long time. And while it's still an incredibly important part of his whole family, there wasn't a succession. It didn't turn out that there was anybody else coming down the line that was interested in stepping in and running the business. And for him, and we appreciate this even more so now, he really wanted to find people that could step in and be the right stewards for the employees, for the customers, that had the same values, shared the same values as Rob and the Armstrong family. And I think that's because Munroe really is, you hear companies that are kind of a family, and Munroe really is. So for him to find somebody that he felt was comfortable, that had the vision, the energy to kind of move it forward, but to still respect the tradition and what's been built, I think that was.
And I want to bring you, Matt, into the conversation because I think Munroe has about around 70 something employees. I'm sure a lot of veteran employees, including yourself. I think there was some nervousness as word gets around. Okay, the Armstrongs are gonna move on, and where are we gonna be? What was the reaction as people found out?
It was mixed. I'll be honest. A lot of people were worried about the fact that Rob wasn't going to be around. He and his family have worked really hard to create that family environment. He's treated everyone as part of his own family, so including the customers, of course. But to have a company actually truly be a family, it's unusual and unique. So the Daughertys coming in, I've had an opportunity behind the scenes before we announced it to the rest of the company to work closely with them and get to know them over the course of 6 months before we actually announced it. So I felt comfortable with it, and being able to talk after the announcement with certain staff members, some key department heads and team leaders, that this is actually a good thing for us.
So I want to ask you, I want to talk about the business of Munroe Dairy. I think people will find it really interesting, and I'm going to stick with you on this one, Matt. You're the man overseeing the business day-to-day there as general manager. Walk us through a typical day. Who's getting there? How early are they getting there? How many trucks are going out? Kind of what's the logistics of a typical Munroe Dairy day?
It's a lot of hustle and bustle. So we have a night crew that shows up at around midnight, opens up the dairy and gets things set up and gets all the computers ready. And then drivers start rolling in about 1:30 in the morning and setting up for their day. So they'll trickle in from 1:30 through 5 in the morning, and then everyone's on the road by 6.
How far away are they going? How distant do you?
We're covering about a 50-mile radius from East Providence, where our headquarters is, and we're 29 trucks, soon to be 30 on the road, 5 days a week. We have just shy of 13,000 customers, making a little over 10,000 deliveries a week.
Wow.
So almost 2,500 deliveries a day.
So in the middle of the night, you guys are all there clinking the bottles together, getting it, making sure everybody gets what they have. It must have been interesting, Tracy, to come in and see as you got to know the business, the process.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
A lot going on. And so certainly a big learning curve for us as we start to get in there. And what's really impressive is our initial, our point of contact, like most customers, is the milkman, right? Which is awesome. And so you have this great relationship. You really value that service. You see what that's all about. But you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. So the guys in the plant who are literally processing and bottling the milk, like the guys washing the bottles, our bottles are reused 40 times before they're recycled. So that's a big part of the business, the warehousing and all that. So it's there's a lot to make it all work, and it's pretty impressive operation.
We're getting close to a commercial break, so I have a quickie for you, Matt, or Tracy, whichever one wants to take it. I'm curious, what kind of milk's the most popular? What do you send the most out?
Low fat is probably the most popular, but we've seen an uptick on whole milk, as we have recently found out again that butterfat is probably a good fat to have. So skim milk has declined and whole milk has come back up again. So it's,
I feel like every few years the experts change the rules on
us
on what we're supposed to have and what we're allowed. That's so funny.
So,
all right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with the folks from Munroe Dairy about what they do there, and then later in the show about a new medical device company out of East Providence and what they're up to. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. Later on in the show, we're going to talk to Bob Rabiner about IlluminOss Medical and what they're doing in his medical device company. But right now, I'm pleased to be joined by Tracy Daugherty. She's the new co-president, co-owner of Munroe Dairy. They just took it over recently. We're talking early 2018. And Mat Levin, who's the veteran general manager at Munroe and is staying on under the new ownership. So I'm curious about the health of the delivery business. On the one hand, it seems like such a throwback, right? You think of the milkman, you think 1950s, whatever. On the other hand, there's all this energy, it seems like, around food delivery. Uber got into sending restaurant food out to people. You hear different ways that's happening all the time. Has that affected Munroe? Are you guys seeing an uptick in people using delivery, or do you find you have an older customer base that it's more of a tradition? What do you see with those trends?
Well, most of our customer base is generations of customers. So we've served the grandmother, the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren in some cases. It's a brand loyalty. And then we're signing up a lot of the millennial moms now with, the farm-to-table movement, the local love, the local brands, the farmers market brands that we carry, and then we're trying to get into some technology which would allow us to compete with the online brands that are out there and available. So
how did that play into your thinking, Tracy, as you looked at the business?
It's interesting. So while we were actually in the midst of looking at all this, Amazon came out with the Whole Foods announcement, right? So you stop everything and you kind of have to process. And at the end of the day, it's actually an incredible opportunity because people are used to, their standards have really risen on what they're used to as far as delivery and service. You can go on your computer if you think you need something and you get it the next day. So on one hand, we looked at that and said, you know what, that's actually an opportunity, because what Amazon and some of these other competitors and people who are delivering can do, or what they can't do, is compete with having your personal milkman. I mean, the level of service that Munroe provides to the customer is pretty much unparalleled.
Because it's like a mailman, right? It's the same person coming to your neighborhood.
It's the same person, and even beyond that, they know what you order, what you like. I mean, we've had situations where somebody's actually put in, they're a low-fat every week order, and they put in whole milk by mistake one time, and their milkman knows to leave them, what they really want. So there's that, and I think that there's, the opportunity there for people to get local foods delivered right to their doorstep. You can still place your order up to midnight the night before, so we're ready to compete, but we're looking to ways to make it an even easier experience, like what Matt talked about, technology.
And I'm curious about that, some of your ideas for where you want to take it.
Well, completely an updated website, so we're really looking at making that user experience that much easier. And with a lot of the millennials and everything else, an app, a mobile app. People want to be able to take care of what they have to take care of if they're sitting on the soccer sideline or wherever they might be. They want to be efficient, and we want to help them do that. So, so we're looking at all kinds of opportunities there as well.
Reading through some of the articles that have been written in the past about Munroe, there was a quote from one of your milkmen that I thought was interesting. You once told an interviewer, "Once you've had milk from a glass bottle, you can never accept the other way again." Matt, as someone who's been in this business a long time, do you think it tastes different from the glass, and why?
100%. It's fresher, it stays colder longer, and you don't get that plastic flavor that you would get out of a plastic jug. We hear all the time where parents, if they run out for one reason or another, they have to go to the market to pick up store-bought milk, and they bring it home. The kids won't drink it. They refuse. They become spoiled.
Best advertising around.
Oh, it's great. And but that's part of the user experience, the customer experience.
And it's a big difference. The glass bottle is huge. The other thing that's unique, and I don't think a lot of people understand, is Munroe milk is pasteurized gently. So instead of, you go buy some milks at the grocery store and you see an expiration date that is weeks into the future. The way they're able to do that is by pasteurizing it at a very high temperature. And when you do that, it changes the taste. So really, this is farm fresh milk. I mean, you're really getting, when you get it from Munroe, it's coming from the farm to table in 36 hours max.
What's sort of the makeup of your network of farmers, where you're getting the milk from and how it's coming in and all that? How does that work?
They're all local, all New England, and they all are part of the same co-op, so the same standards and everything. We've been dealing with the same 3 farms in Connecticut for a number of years. So,
So you also, when Rob Armstrong was on with me a couple years ago, he brought on some other foods, some things Munroe was doing, some things you were delivering. How has that gone, Matt, as you've expanded the number of items, along with, you're never getting away from milk, of course, but the other things that can come with your milkman?
Well, it's allowed us to capitalize on the need for convenience for the consumer nowadays. We cater to all of Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts, but our service is most attractive to the dual income, multi-active kid families that really don't allot for a whole lot of free time to spend standing in line at the grocery store. So they'll use our service to really capitalize and free up some time to do other things, like spending time with their kids or cook at home or things like that. So they'll do a lot of their grocery shopping through us. So it's allowed us to expand and continue to grow in small incremental steps. But
that happened to me as a customer a couple of years ago. So we got the point, a couple kids had gone off to college, and I saw our, milk, what we were drinking in the house milk-wise was going down, and at that time someone happened to mention how much more you can get from Munroe. And I started looking into it because I had been just kind of standard on and you can get a ton. So I mean, your eggs, your English muffins, your bread, your yogurt, there are a lot of things that kind of those staple items that are just easier to have them show up. And the other piece that I think is going to be really exciting, and has been already, is the whole local movement in terms of Rhode Island is this very rich food culture. We're really fortunate here. There's all these great companies that are producing really interesting and delicious local foods, and we can be a source for delivering those to our customers. And so that way we've partnered with a lot of local companies, and we are excited about that opportunity, is kind of bringing local brands and finding distribution for them.
All right, we have to take another break and bring on our next guest. But Tracy Daugherty, Mat Levin, thank you both so much for being here. Munroe Dairy, you know how to find the truck when you're out and about, and it sounds like maybe you'll have an app before we know it too. Stick with us though, because we're going to talk to the Chief Technology Officer at IlluminOss Medical. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and right now I'm pleased to be joined by Robert Rabiner. He is the Chief Technology Officer at IlluminOss Medical in East Providence. They're a medical device company. We're going to talk about what they do. Bob, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
So, first of all, tell us, and I always confess with guests like you, I was not the best science student, so you might have to walk me through a little bit of the cool high-tech stuff you guys do. But in layman's terms, how would you explain what you do at IlluminOss Medical?
Well, what we do is we have a new means of treating fractures. Traditional methods are either large hard nails out of steel or titanium, or plates which are screwed on. What IlluminOss does is we take a small thin wall PET or a Dacron balloon, which is delivered inside the medullary canal, the hollow of the bone. The balloon is delivered in place, then it is filled with a glue, sort of similar to that of going to the dentist, where they take care of your cavities. There's a light fiber that goes inside the balloon. The light fiber is turned on, and the liquid monomer turns into a hardened plastic.
That's a fascinating process. So you have to turn the light on to get it to
Correct.
actually take, for lack of a better word.
Correct.
So the classic example of who might need this, we think of older folks who are at more risk for falls and have these kind of fractures. Is that a lot of who you've been helping?
That's in fact the primary market. There are a lot of wonderful orthopedic technologies out there for younger patients with high quality bone, but there are very, very few products that take care of patients with osteoporosis. So you're typically your older patient, or what our first approval was in the United States was for pathologic or cancer patients. So there are no technologies specific to that.
Oh, that's fascinating. So the strength of the bone, and as you say it makes perfect sense, makes a difference in what you can do to that bone to try to repair it.
Correct. Most implants require some form of screw or ancillary fixation to hold it in place. And if you have a bone that has been weakened either through cancer or osteoporosis, the ability to hold these other fixation devices in place is compromised.
So what were they doing for folks in that before that you're able to get away from?
Well, what they have been doing is they are putting in plates with screws and other technology.
So they're trying to use the same technology, but
correct.
It was not...
It's not as good, or if one could say that.
Interesting. Okay. So your system's been available internationally since, I believe, 2010.
Correct.
But you got some good news to start 2018, or you announced it, that the FDA here in the U.S. had granted approval for you to start marketing the bone stabilization system. How big a deal of that is that for IlluminOss?
It's huge. As you indicated, we've been doing this internationally since 2010. We've treated about 4,700 patients worldwide with phenomenally wonderful results. The opportunity to take the product into probably the largest market in the United States gives us the opportunity now to start capitalizing on a market that is not only substantial, but gives us the opportunity to bring on follow-on products.
What was happening over those years? People might not be familiar with the FDA process. To be using it in 2010 and in the years since internationally, and only now in 2018 get approval. How much did you have to go through to get to that point?
Well, the IlluminOss system is new in that it takes a balloon, a monomer, and a light source to cure it. And so there was nothing similar to that. So we had to establish our own coding system. So they have something called a de novo process, which is for products which are not high risk, but at the same time not like tongue depressors, which have no risk. So we had to establish all of the testing parameters, and we become our own predicate. So we have established all of the parameters that anyone else would have to do to market a product like this.
So you're the pioneers for your whole product category,
Correct.
Not just going through the process for your own system.
Correct. In fact, we were the first de novo that the FDA orthopedic branch had ever approved.
And I have to think with the aging of the population, they expect more and more efforts to find orthopedic
one would
solutions.
believe, but so we're very excited.
But you're ahead of it.
yeah, true. My son says that Dad has it feel to be the prime candidate for your own product.
Oh, your son. Well, you can hit him behind the ears a little bit on that one. So tell me a little bit about where this innovation, where the technology came from, and how the company came to be in Rhode Island.
Well, the company came to be in Rhode Island because my last company, Selva Medical, was here, and before we had an opportunity to fully commercialize the product, we were acquired by W.L. Gore. And the folks at Slater Technologies had provided us with some early funding, And I had made a promise to Rich Horan over at Slater that we would put the next company there. So I retired for about a week after Selva, and I had IlluminOss sort of in the background, sort of playing around in my head. And after a week of retirement, went down in the basement and started dusting off some of the prototypes. Classic
serial entrepreneur, like
exactly.
You can't stop tinkering, and
exactly.
you've got the ideas and everything. How is it being a medical device tech startup, would you say, here in Rhode Island? We have so much there's such a desire to see more innovation, to be more like Cambridge. What's that experience been like for IlluminOss?
Well, we're probably... we're a unicorn. There are not many medical device startups in Rhode Island. It's difficult here. There's not a lot of cash. There's not a lot of venture funding.
Just heard that on our last show, too. That was a big issue entrepreneurs are talking about.
And there's not a lot of the embedded resource where, if you go to California, you can walk down the street and there are other entrepreneurs that are able to play off each other. There's not that network here. So it is difficult. But we're a bunch of stubborn New Englanders, and we had this idea and we stuck with it for the last 11 years.
And that's fascinating. When you say that, it sounds a little chicken and the egg to me, because without that network in place, how do you get people to come and want to be here to start their companies? But if they're not starting the companies, how do you ever get the network in place? Are there things you see, that steps that could be taken that might help to
I think that's probably a very long, in-depth conversation, probably not capable of being handled in this segment.
All right, fair enough. So tell us a little bit more about what's next for the company. You have FDA clearance. We're talking, it's now February 2018. What's looking down the pike? What are you looking ahead to?
Well, the first thing is to start to commercialize the product. We're interviewing people for head of sales positions. We're re-engaging our operations. Our VP of R&D is coming back to start getting the manufacturing up and running. From that, we'll be doing subsequent regulatory filings for additional indications. So it's a commercialization game. It's
and for people at home, I think additional indications would be additional ways to apply the product?
Correct. So right now we're limited to the upper arm, but the next would be to do, say, weight bearing or the pelvic ring or the lower leg. So we'll be looking for more indications to bring it to different places in the body. If
this succeeds the way you want it to, how big do you think the opportunity is?
I've always been hesitant to start trying to presage what you're going to do, but this is a large opportunity. Orthopedics represents in the United States about a $3.5 billion opportunity. We could certainly play in about probably about a $1 billion segment.
Wow, well that's going to be fascinating to watch, and hopefully you corner the market on most of the $1 billion, and Rhode Island just gets bigger and bigger.
That would be nice.
All right, Bob Rabiner. The company is IlluminOss Medical. You can Google them if you want to learn more. There's a lot of videos and things so you can understand their technology. It's really fascinating. It'll be interesting to see it as they apply it more and more. And if you missed the first half of our show, we were joined by the new owner of Munroe Dairy and her general manager, talking about that longtime company and how they are looking towards the future, as well as what's made them a success for a long time. As always, you can get every episode of Executive Suite on iTunes as a podcast or on our website, WPRI.com. See you back here next week.